Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope you all enjoyed episode number 27 with Tatiana Pacheco, the Peruvian living the American dream. Definitely try her juice cleanse if you're in the area, in the city of Almani. I tried it. I definitely wasn't expecting the results I got, but I'll let you all take a test run on that on your own. We're back with episode number 28, and we have a familiar voice. We're making her return from episode number 18, the singles panel. We have Monica Mendez back. How are you doing, Monica?
Hi, Fabian. How are you? Thank you for hosting again.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta ask, because I ask everybody who returns, right? What did you think of your first appearance on the podcast?
You know what? At first, I was a little nervous.
Uh-huh.
But then I was like, you know what? It's an experience that someone might have probably gone through, or, they probably feel like, oh, okay, so it's not just me. It's someone else out there.
Like a lot of people that I have on for the first time, they're like, I didn't know I sounded like that. I didn't like the sound of my voice. But what'd you think of the sound of your own voice?
You know what? I'm not really gonna say I was surprised because I actually been on TV before, so
okay.
I know how I sound. I'm not that type of person like, oh, I didn't know I sound like that. Like, no, I've there's times that I record myself, like especially when I was taking a speech 101, and they will make you record yourself, and I was just like, oh my God, that's how I sound. So I kind of got used to it. So I'm like, now I'm just like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, get over it, I did refer the podcast to many of my friends on social media, and they were just like, wow, we haven't heard you speak in such a long time. Because, I never do live sessions, or I just post pictures or just repost random shit on there all the time.
Yeah.
So they were all like, wow, we haven't heard your voice in such a long time. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you guys remember how I sound,
Yeah, I think that's what's been really cool for me. I've been telling everybody, it's like I'm having conversations with people I haven't talked to in a long time, and I think for them and for me, they get a lot out of it. They're either reminded of funny times or whatever, or it's just a good conversation. Even people who I didn't have like a strong rapport with necessarily, they'll listen to the podcast like religiously, like every Sunday when it comes out, they'll be like, on top of it. And I appreciate that, but I think we got something cool going on here. But today, I think we have something really interesting, and we actually got a lot of buzz on the social media says poll over this, because I think people are just naturally intrigued by, the topic we're about to talk about. Whether they want to admit it or not, they're naturally intrigued by it. And who wouldn't be, essentially what it is it's telling you about you. I mean, I don't want to say it's like fortune telling or future telling or anything like that. But, people always want to know, well, who the hell am I, right? And this kind of helps examine that maybe, for if you're a believer, I guess. But we're going to talk mostly about astrology. And you have quite a bit of knowledge about that. We, at some point, we'll also get into some paranormal activity stuff, maybe some ghosts, some, brujeria and voodoo and all that, right? But
let's talk about the right stuff, not the bad stuff.
Okay. So I do want to put it out there on the podcast. Real quick, a little spoiler, alert behind the scenes here. I do use a lot of notes, and you've seen my extensive notes, right? For episode number 18. This is the first episode I'm not using any notes, so I'm going to really let Monica take the reins on it, and we'll see how it goes. If not, I'm going to hit the edit button a lot and plug my barbecue business or something like that. But
yeah, no, don't worry. We got this. Trust me. It's just, the reason why I didn't really want to make such a big agenda was because it's mostly about ourselves. Like, not just ourselves, but it's more like to reflect on like how we see each other. Mm-hmm. With you especially, I've worked with you for a while, but never really had a huge interaction.
Right.
And I've always, the first time that I had seen you was at that one meeting that we had for Halloween, YPI, where you showed up in your costume, and I'm like, who is that guy with dressed up as a wrestler? You remember you had like, I think it was, I forgot what it was, but it was like
Was it a mask? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the year I was Mankind, and I think it was I did a pretty good job replicating that look.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I would hear like, "Oh, it's Fabian." I'm like, I don't know, I was just new. So when I started working with you, you're very quiet. That was something that I got from you. You were very observant. Mm-hmm. That's why when I asked you, hey, like, what's your sign? And you're like, well, I don't know. And that's when I had asked you, like, hey, when's your birthday? And you're like, oh, I'm a Libra. And I'm like, oh, interesting, you know? And that's why it's another reason, going back to making the notes, because it's going to come out naturally. You're going to come out naturally, and I want to come out naturally. Yeah. And I don't want to have, it's just something that it's going to kind of make other people understand you as well. Cool. And get to know who is Fabian, who is behind this podcast, So we can go off with, like, talk about yourself, what, do you know anything about your sign? Do you, have you ever heard someone compare you to something? Like, I thought you were like a Aries or a, Gemini. Typically, people always right off the bat, if, and it's the people who are really into, like, astrology, like, I knew you were a Libra, or, oh, that's because you're a Libra. It's like, I don't know what that means. Like, I get people saying that all the time. And, I don't know if we just have distinct personalities or whatnot. I do know, like, it's the symbol is the balance, right? So it's all about balance. And I mean, I think typically, yes, I am about, what's fair. And I do like to, look at multiple points of view. I don't just take one side immediately. Even if it's something that's like, completely you think would be black and white, I like to look at multiple angles, Even just in my own personality, I tell people, if you were ever to call me Two-Face, I'd be like, you're selling me short. I have at least 7 faces, And you have to have different faces. Like, okay, the way I interact with you here on the podcast is much different than the way I interact professionally. Because professionally, you mute a little bit of yourself, right? But then, the way I'm interacting here on a podcast, the way I interact at work are much different than the way I interact with friends or the way I interact with family. So there's like, multiple different faces. There has to be, in order to, for me anyway, to find some sort of balance. And maybe that's the quintessential Libra response, if I'm correct. It's so funny because when I was telling you about your birth chart, I kind of laughed. I don't know if you saw, because your rising is actually a Taurus, and I'm a Taurus. That's my sun sign.
What's a rising?
So that's kind of how people see you. How I say you're very quiet, very observant, very like, I'm good at listen first before I actually say something. Mm-hmm. And I'm like that too. Like I like to sit down and listen. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But I won't say anything until you tell me to say something. Mm-hmm. And I can kind of see that. So your rising is how people see you. Mm-hmm. How they think of you when they first see you. How a lot of people say, oh, well, I thought you were mean to me. And, mm-hmm. The way you just looked, your face, and it's like, no, remember, that's just how your face looks, but mm-hmm. you send that vibe to them. For example, my rising is a Libra. Okay. So people see me very like, very quiet at times. They see me very like, okay, she's just sitting there observing. But I interact. Like, I'll interact when you tell me when it's the right time. And that's just, and that's how I finally started understanding, because my moon, which is how your inner self, how your emotions are, my moon is actually in Libra too. So I have double Libra. Yeah. So it's very, so like I can ask you, like, how did you see me in the first time you met me?
Yeah, I think the just exact same way you described yourself, which is very much, just kind of sitting quiet and, observe, but speak when spoken to kind of thing. And it's exactly the same way you just described it. I think to an extent, too, that's the way I am. Unless I feel comfortable enough to interject, like if I'm interacting with a group of peers, I might be more likely to interject my opinion than if it's like a huge, group meeting or something like that. Then I'll speak when spoken to kind of thing. But yeah. I think in that aspect we might be similar.
Yeah, and that's why when you told me, oh, I'm a Libra, I'm like, oh, you're a Libra. No wonder you kind of more like, we would sit in those meetings, and I'm like, maybe it doesn't see anything. And then finally, when I would hear you talk, I'm like, okay, Fabian's saying something. Like, oh, okay, he's talking when he knows it's the right moment, you know? And a lot of people don't really understand, how the signs, like your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign is. Because they think you're just a Taurus and they call it a day, right? Mm-hmm. But realistically, it's, a lot of people see astrology as like a terrible thing because, it's like you're figuring out your future, and a lot of people who are very religious, they say, that's not okay, and it's like, no, I see the whole rising moon and the sun signs because I want to know how the person is. How should I talk to them? How should I get to know them very well? I've come across many people, and it's like, how am I gonna like talk to these people if I don't know what they're into? So I always ask people like, hey, so what's your sign? I always get joked around it. My brother in particular, he always tells me, you're that one girl from the family that tells everyone like, hey, what's your sign? Hey, what's your sign? And I carry crystals in my bag. So he goes, yeah, you're that one little girl that comes with her little rocks and asking everybody, what's your sign? And I'm like, well, because I just want to know. Like, I'm interested. Like, there are some signs that I really don't get along very well. I will admit to that. And so when I saw your poll on your Instagram saying like, what's your zodiac sign?
Yeah.
I did see a lot of Scorpios on there.
Uh-huh.
And and what you said, I was just laughing because, like, I've had experiences with a couple of Scorpios, and I'm just like, God, you guys are a hot mess. Like, you guys walk around like, all prideful.
They wear that shit like a badge, right? Like, they pin it right on them, like, I'm a Scorpio. Blah, blah, blah. I do stupid shit because I'm a Scorpio, or like, like, no, it's just because you chose to, but I don't know much about that.
So, it's funny because a lot of people say Scorpios are kind of like they're the very sexual ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because, I've had friends as Scorpios, but, never really turned out well with them. Mm-hmm. So then again, it kind of goes back to their birth charts because it's the way they express themselves,
Right.
So, Scorpios, I've heard so many things about Scorpios, like, they're like, oh yeah, they're like the best. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think Scorpio's the best because y'all tend to kind of like come into your life and then disappear 3 months and then try to come back again. Like, no, I don't need that, But I also saw that you had, I think Aries was like one of the top ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, and it's so funny because Aries is actually the first one on the zodiac sign.
Okay.
And many people don't know that. They think they go by the month, and it's not. It's actually Aries is the first one, and the last one is Pisces.
Okay.
So Pisces. So if you know any Pisces, they're very like baby, very like and like so cute and small, Mm-hmm. Aries are more like they like to take control of certain things. So it's like super opposite, and people always confuse it because they think that we start at the beginning of January, and it's like what? Capricorn season, and I think it's Capricorn that starts the first, and it's like, no, it's actually Aries that comes in first. So it's really interesting as well. I don't know what your family members have. Do you know their zodiac sign or?
I think. All right, let's see. I know what's a couple behind Libra, like 2 behind Libra. There's a Virgo before that, and what's before that?
Libra and then Scorpio.
Oh, so one of my brothers is a Scorpio, and then my sister is a Libra. Her birthday's 4 days apart. And then my older brother, I guess would be a Leo. Is that right before Virgo?
Virgo, yeah, Leos. Ugh, Leos.
Yeah, so that's their whole thing. I think. Okay, so let's see if you know off the top of your head, because I don't know what their signs are. But my mom's birthday is January 6th.
She's a Capricorn. January
6th.
He's a Capricorn.
And my dad's birthday is December 9th.
He's a Sagittarius.
And I don't know if those two are like water and oil, but it didn't work out. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So Sag is actually a fire sign. And Capricorn is an earth sign, which is very stubborn. They can be very stubborn at times. Sag, because they are fire, they like to take control of certain things sometimes.
Okay.
Which you can kind of see it, right?
Yeah. That makes sense for sure.
Yeah. My mom is a Cancer, so she's very emotional about stuff. I'm not gonna say all Cancers are emotional, but she could be a little emotional. And I'm just like, God, Mom, why are you like so emotional about this? Like, it's just something so simple, you know? My dad's a Capricorn, so you may think having two earth signs, is actually a good idea, and it's not. Yeah, we clash a lot. I'm very stubborn. He's very stubborn, and I like to be like, no, like I'm very firm with certain stuff, and my dad's kind of like, oh, well, if you tell me this, and I'll do it, and I'll believe it, but at the same time, it's like, no, I don't want to do it, you know? So it kind of goes, I mean, like I said, it's all great, and I have my brother's a Pisces, so he doesn't give a shit if the world's ending. You can tell him, like, hey, like, the sky is falling. And he'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. All right, I'm going to go back to bed, you know?
Yeah.
And in case of myself, I'll be like, oh, my God, I'm freaking out. But I guess it's just, you know, because I overthink a lot. And it just, you know, it's kind of just, it all depends on your birth chart, you know?
Yeah. So what's with the chart? So what's on it? What exactly are you reading, or how do you interpret it? Okay, so birth charts are pretty much the day that you were born is which planet was in the sky, pretty much. I mean, obviously all planets are in the sky, but where and what zodiac sign was a planet landing on. So, I'm not gonna ask you how old you are. I don't mind. 34. Just turned 34. Yeah.
So, how old are you?
34. Just turned 34.
How old?
34.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, forgot to say happy birthday, my Leo. I mean, my Libra, sorry. So I was actually looking into your birth chart. It's very interesting. So the way, so the day that you were born is pretty much, the planets were aligned to different zodiac signs. Even the moon was aligned to a certain zodiac sign. So just literally on Friday, we had a Libra, a new moon Libra. So if a child was born on that day, there will be a sun Libra and a moon Libra. I don't know what the rising is. I mean, I would have to go back and check that. So it varies out, you know. And then there's times where there could be a planet in a retrograde, which means that technically it's like kind of spinning backwards, and it lands on a certain zodiac sign. So some people might have like a different sign, and it could trigger many things to them. And I actually have a really good example. So my Mars is in Aries, and right now we have 4 planets in retrograde. So we have, I believe it's Mars, Mercury is also in retrograde. So Mercury is a communication planet. So if you start seeing like really fucked up shit with your technology and like weird shit's happening, it's because of Mercury retrograde. Yeah. So when
that
people say, "Oh my God,
2020."
Yeah, it's so funny because there's this astrologer that I listen to. His name is the Leo King. You guys can find him on Instagram. He actually talks about like the planets, and he goes into like the god. Right now, they consider it the god of the war of gods because there's so many planets in retrograde. That so many shit's happening. Like I don't know if you notice how. I mean, look at us right now. We're like in the really shitty times, or you know, all these things are happening, and it's gonna happen anyways because they're saying that we're ending the 25,000 year cycle, which is like I think it's the Aquarius sign that we're in right now, and it's gonna end on December 12th. You remember that whole Mayan thing that they were talking about?
Yep.
That what was it? 2012 was it?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was like they were like we're gonna die, and that was it. And blah blah blah. No. No, it's actually they miscalculated wrong, of course, like, you know. And it's supposed to be this year, 2020. Now you sense why all these shitty events are happening, you know? Because it's kind of like cleansing the world for us to understand that nothing in this world is like about material or money wise. And I feel like a lot of people, like, that's our number one issue. Stressing is just about like financially, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
So, he talks about that, and he talks about how, all these planets are in place right now, and it's just like, it's making everyone just go crazy. Like, we're like, oh my God, I've seen a lot of people have like anxiety, but they start looking into spirituality, crystals, and, their astrology, and they're like, oh, okay, now I understand it, like for myself, last year, my Saturn, so there's this planet, Saturn, of course, it's kind of like the way it makes you, it's your planet where you kind of sit down and reflect and think about like what is going on in your life. So actually last year I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and I guess that's when my Saturn returns, because when it comes back every 29 years. So I don't know if you can like maybe try to think back when you were 27, 28, 29. Did you do this whole like trying to focus, trying to realize what you're doing with your life? Did you ever go through something like that at that age?
I believe so. Yeah, that was kind of like, what am I doing kind of mentality at that point. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I blocked a lot of that out or not, but yeah, I think if those questions were to pop into my head, it would have probably been around that time.
Yeah, so that's pretty much when it starts hitting when you're 27. It's like the first steps of your Saturn return. I actually went through my first set round of Saturn return last year. I was 27 last year. This year I turned 28. And it's it took a heavy toll on me mentally. I was trying to realize what I wanted, and like, I'm going to have to set my goals and actually do it this time, So it happens every 29 years. So like if you're 27, you're going to hit this time where like, if anyone out there that's saying 27, you're going to hit that time where, you're trying to realize what you're doing in your life. Mentality, and you're going to be thinking like, I don't want that. I want this, I feel sometimes like people who get married very young and they go through their Saturn return, that could probably be an effect of sometimes separating or just making like actually giving more into the marriages. I mean, and I've seen it, because I have a friend that, she is, currently married, and she just went through her Saturn return, and she's like, mentally I felt like I wasn't prepared, but then I realized I sat down and I was like, this is what I really wanted. So, she, thankfully, it kind of like, I now understood, because, we were talking about the planets, and I said, yeah, your Saturn's in return. It's about to end. He just turned 32, like literally last week, and she told me, she's like, yeah, now I understand. Now I get it. Like, I believe in that stuff, because now that you're telling me about it, like, yeah, I started at 27. I started freaking out. Now that I'm actually 30, like, my Saturn literally just ended. So now I feel so much better about myself, So that's why I say, I tell people, like, oh, yeah, I'm in my Saturn return. I'm trying to figure out where my life is going. Yeah. That's why I asked you, like, did you see any difference? You're probably not going to go through it again until, like, 29 years later. So you're going to probably, I guess that's when people say it's your midlife crisis, but I don't know.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Let me put that on the old calendar.
Make sure you put it on your phone as a reminder. Hey, 28 more years for your Saturn return before you have a mental breakdown. But yeah, so right now, going back to the birth chart, each sign kind of reflects back on how you react towards these certain issues. So actually looking at yours, because I'm going to use you as an example.
Let's do it.
Your sun is actually in Libra. So that's which is your sign that you go by, right? So your rising is in Taurus, and your moon is in Gemini. So if you hear people telling you like, oh, I thought you were like a two-face or like this and that, you're very decisive, like that's your Gemini. They think, people sometimes say like, oh, Geminis are two faces. They're not. They're just very undecisive. So for your emotions, I think you kind of know what you want, but sometimes you feel like you think about a second option. Is that how you are?
Emotionally, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, let's say you're like, but I really want this, but at the same time, I kind of want this,
Yeah.
So it's it's kind of, and that's why you remember how that conversation you were saying about like, you're single. There was a post that you wrote about on Facebook. I think it was like, oh, I'm single. Like this guy looks just like me or something.
Oh,
like
that little cartoon, yeah.
Okay, so you know how I said like, yeah, you gotta find someone that's a Gemini, you know, because they say if you find someone that's a Gemini, you guys can get along very well because you guys will know how to actually like work your communication and kind of get along. So that's just like them saying. So your Mercury, which is your communication, the way you communicate, is like a Libra.
Okay.
So give me a second. Let's see. So you like to have very good judgment, right?
Yeah.
You're very you like to express yourself very clearly, and I can see that. I can see that very well. You like to always put yourself in shoes of other people to kind of like understand what they're going through as well.
Yep. Different lenses. Yeah? Yep.
Fabian, we're about to break you down, and everyone's gonna know your weaknesses.
I would like to know. That's good. Yeah, that's fine. Everybody else can know too. I don't give a damn. Right? And what was that? The Geminis? Yeah, come find me. I cook. You know.
Yeah. Hey, Fabian does everything. Let me just tell you that Fabian does everything. He cooks. He does a podcast. He's a great mentor. Dude, you do everything, right?
Excellent singer.
You're very on point. Like, you're always on time at meetings. Like, that, you know, you get asked out and you go on a date, he'll be there on time. Like, don't even like worry about it. Fabian would not fell out.
Yeah.
So then your Venus is the way how you attract others and like your commitment is in Scorpio.
What does that mean? You said that with the slight disappointment in there.
So pretty much you're very passionate when it comes to relationship. You're very sensual. It can go from like high to low. You can go from like a full admire and desire when it comes to a partner, and then especially like they come to your level. You could be jealous, and maybe a little possessive. Whoa. I don't know about that.
Whoa.
I don't know. How do you feel about that, Fabian?
I'm gonna plead the fifth. I'm gonna keep listening. I'm going to engage my Libra at this point and just keep listening.
You're just gonna listen, right? And you're Taurus rising as well.
All right.
But you could be very loyal. You can be very loyal, and once you get disappointed in love, you can kind of see it like, oh, whatever, fuck love. Like, I don't really need time for that.
Hey, that sounds like my mentality right now.
Yeah, it's I'm telling you, man, the birth charts they break you down, and you kind of understand yourself a little bit more. Because sometimes you wonder, like, why am I like that? Like, why am I like this? Why am I like that? Like, I looked into my birth chart on my Venus, and my Venus is in my home planet, which is Taurus. So I'm very, like, if I fall in love, I fall in love really, really bad, and I'm, like, stupid blind. I'm not going to say stupid blind, but I'm very firm, like, with my relationships. Like, I tell my, hey, you know, like, this is what I want. I create boundaries. And that's how I understood, like, when I find people's zodiac signs, I'm like, I don't know if I don't think I'll click with them, you know. I dated a Leo a while back, and let me just tell you, man, that was just like, he was very clingy, very clingy, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do this. I can't do clinginess. I need my space. You need to leave me alone. You know. But then again, it's like, I guess that's how some people are, you know. So then your Mars. So your Mars represents your desire and physical energy. Okay. So you're very energetic and direct.
Am I? That's news to me.
Actually,
direct, yes. Direct, yes.
Yes, you are direct. Energetic. I feel like maybe I haven't seen it, but on your podcast, you're very energetic. Like, you're very into it. So, yes, you are energetic. Okay? So, don't say, am I? Because you are. Okay.
In certain aspects, yeah. I would agree.
And I'm pretty sure you're very hardworking at certain stuff. Like, you really work hard for your things. And that's, like, kind of being direct. Because you're like, no, I don't want that. Like, you kind of know, like, I'm not going to say mentally, but you know that when you're going to do into it, you're going to put something into it, you're going to put your whole passion towards it.
Yeah.
And I can see it because I remember when you were smoking, when you were doing your barbecue smoking. Are you still doing that, by the way?
I'm smoking a pulled pork right now. No, I'm not selling it because I took a little bit of a break from that for a few reasons, but I'll get back at it, in a bit. It's just it was a lot of stuff adding up, and it wasn't, how do I put it? And I'm not about making profit, honestly. I was more about like, let's share, my passion here. Let people taste the food. But for now, it wasn't profitable enough to put in the time. I might do it like once a month until I figure something more permanent out. But I at least got the word out there. So there's that.
Yeah. So here, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Are you very adventurous? Like, do you like doing I'm not gonna say dangerous stuff, but like, do you like being adventurous? Like, do you like doing new things?
I can be, yeah. I won't be the one to initiate it and be like, oh, let's go try this shit, because I'm perfectly comfortable doing the same stuff over and over again as well. I'm not saying that I prefer that, but I'm very comfortable doing that. But if somebody suggests like, hey, you want to go try this? I'll be like, yeah, why not? I'm up for it.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's so funny because you like doing karaoke, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where your Mars comes in. You're very energetic with that. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen you do karaoke, but I would love to do it with you, definitely. Because I'm not the greatest singer, but I love doing karaoke as well.
Cool. Once that brass monkey opens up for karaoke again, gotta go there.
All right. You said it. Okay, so your Jupiter actually represents your expansion and your grace. Your Jupiter is in Pisces. So you could be very independent for your own good times. Liberty is like your all important thing. You can lack sometimes, like, how can I say it? Like, there's certain things that you want to be firm, but then you kind of like it sometimes because you're like, well, I don't know if that's really even worth it, Mm-hmm. You like having verbal battles?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. I sometimes I just argue stupid shit just for the sake of it, and take the other side just to hear what people will say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your Pisces.
Okay.
Now I know. We're like, no, don't have a verbal battle with Fabian. He's gonna win. He's gonna win.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah. You like to have like extreme, like not just like you like to have your ideas being shared with people. You're like not just like people that you know, but other people that you don't know. Like you like to share ideas like that. And I can kind of see it why, because you're very social. You're very social. You can be very. Are you very organized?
In some things, yeah. So, like, if it comes to, like, organizing ideas and thoughts and stuff like that, yes. If it comes to physically organizing stuff, no. I've always been very creative, and I don't mind if my creative space is a little messy. But when it comes to organizing ideas and thoughts and things of that nature, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking into this right now, and I was just like, are you organized? Because this says you're very organized. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen you work in your space, so I wouldn't really know about that. You like to achieve many objects, don't you? Like, during goals? Yeah. And I can see it. I can totally see it. I remember you were posting about, I believe your diploma, was it? Your degree?
Yeah, but even, like, let's look at, the line of work we did, right? Like, after-school coordinators, right? I wasn't satisfied with just doing that, so I went and I made sure I became a certified trainer. Became a consultant with LACO and all that stuff. So I always wanted more, because I feel like if I'm stagnant and just kind of going with the flow, I'm not happy with that. It's like, and especially when they won't, give you a shot to do something new, something, a little bit more responsibility. Because you didn't, I don't know, maybe you didn't, suck the right dick or whatever. It kind of gets me upset, and I like to, do things on my own and achieve my own things.
Yeah. Well, now you understand why. Because that's your Pisces coming in. Your Saturn it's like your effort, the things you put, your efforts and stuff. It's actually a Sagittarius, which means you're very hard, unforgiving at times. Mm-hmm. Not always, but at times. You have a very limited inner mind in rare cases, which is that true? Like
limited and narrow mind in some things.
Yeah,
I feel that's fair. I'll go ahead. I'll co-sign that. There's some things. Yeah, I mean, I think I can consider a lot of points, but when it's like something that I believe to the core, right? I'm not gonna give up that argument. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question: do you like to have one-to-one relationships seriously? Do you like to take it seriously, or are you just like?
I mean, in what sense? Like friendships?
Yeah, like friendships. Like, do you like to have those one-on-one friendships, or you just like want to have like a whole full of social gathering?
I think I'm good with one-to-one's fine. I think I enjoy getting to know people more closely and stuff like that. I don't need to have an entourage at times. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't mind if it's a big old festive thing like a birthday party or something. But I think more than not, my circle's a little smaller.
Okay. Okay. Now here's another question. We're gonna get into like how Fabian is with his partners. Okay. So, do you like your partner to be serious and mature?
I don't know. I mean, not too serious, Okay. A little bit of silliness is good every now and then.
Okay. Do you like to share your? Would you like to? I mean, when you were in a relationship, did you like to share your feelings?
I typically don't.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe I've never thought of it, but if I'm analyzing that now, maybe it's because I don't want to burden people, or I just kind of get over it, or I've always been more like the type of just forget about it,
Okay, that's what I want. Yeah, because it says here that your partner that you will having responsibilities with the partners, like they have to be serious and mature and restrictive at some things, and that's what I have. Like, do you your partner, are they because I don't know, are you single, Fabian?
Yeah.
Okay, so the partner that you might end up with, or
that's ideal.
Not ideal, but I'm saying that you want someone to take things seriously and to be like. Very mature, which I mean, obviously, who wouldn't want something like that, but also have, their funny side and be very adventurous. They do say that you're very ambitious, though.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Is that true? Yep. Yeah? I can kind of, I see it.
Now, I think, though, you need to give me the right recipe here, because I need to make up my mind quick. What do I need? Because I got like this much time.
Now, you know what, Fabian? I realize that a lot of us, especially when we come from like Latino, Hispanic cultures, how our parents were always like, back to that segment that we did, that we said, some of our parents are kind of like, when are you going to give us kids, grandkids, But then I actually think about it because, my parents are from Oaxaca, and a lot of the first generation that's born here in California or in the U.S., they end up actually getting married at their like late 30s or early 40s. And it's very interesting, because I hear a lot of people like, oh, I have very this much time. And I'm like, don't take it so like, I know sometimes we joke, but I tend to tell people like, it saddens me to hear when people say those things. It's like, no, you have a lot of time, it's maybe the universe says it's not time, it's just gonna come at a very, I mean, are you into females? I don't know. I'm just saying, like it just varies out. Don't feel so rushed either, but I can kind of see it. You know, because you're very energetic, so you kind of do need someone serious in your life to be like, "Hey, Fabian, you gotta chill," you know. And it kind of works out if you see it, because you're very energetic and you're very direct, but then you have someone that's gonna come in and be like, "Hey, no, like, how about let's sit down and actually think about it and like go through the plans and see what really we can do within the relationship," you know. So it kind of makes sense that why you have to have someone that's kind of mature and very serious, not serious with you, but like take things seriously, because then you know that you guys are going the right path.
Okay.
So that's your Saturn. Your Uranus is represents your individual liberty. So your Uranus is actually in Sagittarius as well. So that means you could be very shy, but you could be very proud at the same time, very bold and lively. So is that true? Can you be shy?
I think I've seen that more like in my younger days, you know, as a kid. I wouldn't necessarily say shy. I mean, maybe hesitant sometimes to jump on things, but I guess that applies.
Now, here's the thing. You're very independent, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very independent? Like...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm not codependent.
So, do you like traditional roles in relationships, or do you like to have your own roles in a relationship?
Traditional in what aspect?
Like your traditional roles, like the male does what the male does, and the female does what the female does.
I think I'm more inclined to that.
Why?
I don't know. It's just, I mean, I can't explain it. It's just something innate.
Okay. Well, according to your birth chart, it tells you that you reject a lot of traditional roles in partnership.
Really?
Oh, yes. You may fear, like, entrapment. Like, that's not what you want. Fabian, are you a player?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Nah.
Sure.
I guarantee it.
Not even in your old past days? Your old past life?
No.
No?
Nah.
Okay. Yeah, it says here that it could take half its lifetime to realize it's coming from within. And his independence doesn't match well with traditional marriage. If he does need to marry, he needs to marry, so he needs many freedoms. So, that's interesting.
I mean, if the chart says it, I'll consider it, but I think I disagree with that.
Oh my god. No, I mean, don't always go by what the chart says. It's sometimes just like, it kind of understands you what you really want in a relationship, and it's going to kind of make you understand, like, is that what I really want? Like, do I really want to get married? Which is interesting now, because I wonder what my Uranus is in, because I don't really believe in marriage. So maybe my Uranus is in Sag? Let me check. No, my Uranus is in Capricorn, so weird. But anyways, so you kind of want to live like a very peaceful life. That's you, right?
Yep.
You want to have a lot of adventures, and it can sometimes lead you to having like risky territories, right? Which can complicate things even and bring you like that bitterness if you feel like you don't find that peaceful part of you, you know. Which goes back to you saying, like, I have very much less, like, this time, it goes back to you saying that stuff. Like, it's kind of like saying, yeah, I have this little time, but if I don't achieve my peaceful life, you know?
Yeah, you talk about bitterness. I'm a grapefruit right now when it comes to that. So, that's how bitter I am.
Yeah, it says it could perhaps bring poison in his life.
I'll take poison, yeah.
Oh my god. So so now going back to your planets. So Neptune actually represents the traditional liberty and a non-egoistic liberty. So like your egoistic part of your life, you know. So you're very wise and sensitive. Not sensitive, sensual. Like you're very you know what you want. You have a very strong imagination, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You're not always good with money. Is that true?
Not good with money?
Yeah.
I I want to say I'm pretty good with it.
Okay.
Maybe in younger years not so much, but lately, I mean, I think I'm much better with it. I had to learn.
Yeah. It can be like you have there's some details in money that you might not understand. Like, you lose count of money and you think like I think that's everyone, to be realistic with you. I'm a Taurus. I fucking love spending money. Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
Don't take me to Marshalls or Ross because I will come out with like a shitload of candles that I probably don't even need.
Let me tell you this. Look, I think the part of money that I was like I don't treasure it. I don't find it like something that is important necessarily. Yes, you need it, but I don't think that it's the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to spend it with. I'm okay spending a lot of money on a good time as long as everybody's good. I don't care if anybody else spends $1. Like,
yeah,
like, okay, drinks on me kind of thing. I've done that before, so maybe that's where it ties in. But I think these days, especially since there's not much going on, I'm pretty decent with it.
Yeah, which I can kind of see it because it does say here that you like to create that very fun environment with people.
Yeah.
You can be you have your perspective on layers that you can see on situations. You don't just look at one little layer; you look at all the layers in order for you to understand your situations and what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's also your Neptune coming in and understanding, trying to see like what you're trying to learn from others as well. Mm-hmm. So then we have Pluto. Your Pluto represents your transformations and your I don't know why I always have an issue saying this word. Elimination. Okay. So that's, you actually have Scorpio on your Pluto.
That appears twice.
Ew, God, you fear betrayal. Is that true?
That I fear betrayal?
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't know if I fear it, but I don't think so. I'm genuinely, I disagree with that one as well. I'm generally very trusting. My big thing is you have my trust until you lose it, and yeah, and that's opposite of the way a lot of people work, because for a lot of people it's like, well, I don't trust you till you earn it, kind of thing. To me, it's like you got it immediately, and if you lose it, that's your fault. You fucked up, But I don't think I fear it. If I do, then it's definitely subconsciously, because I don't see that.
Okay, makes sense. So you like to learn from your lessons that you go through, especially when you transform your life. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what and it kind of goes back to like where you're like, I want more. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be like in this. I want more, Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. You have power struggle when you don't get it your way. You kind of like,
yes,
no, I want it this way,
I think several supervisors in my life would tell you that is accurate.
Yeah. But you compromise over the time that you do learn. So, like, it does work with you mentally and help, like, it shows you what you really want and makes you transform your life in a sense, because you're like, well, I don't want that, I want to have it this way. So then I know that I can be there working it with it, that's just the way you learn how to eliminate people from your life as well. Like, if they don't serve you, you'll be like, hey, bye, please see you later, type of thing. So, which makes sense why Scorpios are more like, I'm going to drop you, bye, see you later. But then when you think it's the right time to come in, then you'll come in, Then again, it goes back to your, like, the way you want to show how you transform. Like, you want to show off, like, hey, this is how I'm gonna do it. Like, if you don't serve me, then I'm just gonna like do it my way and not like you guys. And it goes back to like, you like to have you're willing to risk everything at some point.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then you'll most likely like to have to start from scratch and move your way up. Mm-hmm. I can see it now. Yeah. Which actually sometimes can end up, with you being with authority figures, like people who our big bosses, and you're like, okay, yeah, And you sometimes don't like to meet those authority figures because you feel like they block you from your success or your goal at times.
I'll just nod politely on that one.
So hopefully your supervisor doesn't hear this. No, I'm kidding.
No, but the one I currently have is great. So.
Okay. No. Yeah. So that's. I mean, there's much more to this, and I kind of really don't want to go because it's like a whole. It's a lot of information. From your birth chart, because then from your birth chart we go to your houses. So there's like 12 houses.
Dang. That's a lot.
It's not just your birth chart. Like your birth chart breaks down everything. Houses are what you like. People actually read for your fifth house, your sixth house, your seventh house, and they can tell you, like, they can actually break you down even more. Your birth chart in general is just like where your planet was placed on the zodiac sign, and it kind of describes you, and you kind of understand yourself a little bit more. Then we have like the aspects, which is like when the sun was square to like this planet, and it's like a whole different other thing. And it's very interesting because it tells you like where your sun is and like how it also affects you. And then you have like a bunch of other stuff that I'm just like, what is this? Like I'm still learning, you know. I'm just like, I don't get this. I don't understand, like, what is going on, But then again, if you're very interested to know about your birth chart, there's a website. It's called Cafe Astrology. And like you put in your time, you have to have the correct time, okay? Because if you have the wrong time, it's gonna throw you off completely. And I can tell you that because it happened to me. My mom gave me the wrong birth time because apparently she doesn't remember when I was born. And she was off by an hour, and it said that I was a Virgo and rising. And then when I actually saw my birth certificate, I was like, you fucking lied to me. I was born at 3:59, not 2:59. And it changed somewhat a little bit on my birth chart, and I was like, okay, now I get it. Like, yeah, I'm kind of like that. I used to be an activist, and I kind of understand myself now a little bit more because I'm always about like, fight for the people, make things right. I don't want, I think like it's not just about this kind of people. It's like, it's just about everyone. And I kind of understood because that's my Libra and my sun and my rising and my moon. Because I'm very like, I'll listen to you, but no, I want this like fair and square. Like I don't want it to be less or be more. It's
funny you mentioned that because like I'm all about fairness and everything, but I never see myself being like an activist or anything like that. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with my personality because I've always kind of been like, well, like, and I like that there's people that do that, but it's not for me. It's never been for me to be out there picketing and, making a big scene of things. I don't know. It's just something I've never been attracted to.
And it's funny because I think it all varies out on especially your Pluto. Not your Pluto, I'm sorry. Your your Uranus and your Neptune. I think sometimes because it's like you like to. It depends on your liberty. Like if you want, justice for like how they say justice for all, but at the same time you're just trying to like no, I want this people to have the same equality than this people. I mean, like look at us, like. The 99 of us, 99%, it's like we're all fucked, and the 1% is like, not fucked at all. So, well, my thought of mentality, like my Libra and my rising and my moon, it's kind of like, no, like I want them to get fucked over because that's not fair, That's just how I see it. But yeah, and I finally happened to piece it together, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense why I was like into the huge activist. I mean, they say once you're an activist, you're always an activist, but I had to retire because I had my daughter. So, once my daughter is old enough to understand why we're out there, I will be out there once again. But yeah, it goes back to that. Definitely, it's very interesting because your birth chart kind of breaks you down a bit and you kind of understand like, oh, okay, now I know why I'm like that.
Just to kind of like round out the conversation about, astrology and zodiac signs and all that, what initially got you into this? Like, how did you start, delving a little deeper into it than just what you see on, your daily, what do they call it in the newspapers? Your horoscope.
So it's funny. So as a little kid, I was always into the Zodiac sign.
Mm-hmm.
I was always like, oh, like, I guess watching What for Mercado on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Yeah, it's funny you got there right away.
After watching him there, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I remember, and it's so funny because like I watched the documentary and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember like my mom watching this show, like, she's like, oh, like what the Mercado's on, like let's all watch it, and she would be like, oh, look, it's your sign. And I was like, I would be so amazed, like, oh my God, how does this guy even know what's going on, But I was so little. I was very, I was young. So I think I got more into it when I got to high school. But I didn't really know any of the risings or like the moon or any of that stuff. I just knew about zodiac sign. I would always, like, you can ask a couple of people I went to high school, like my friends. They'll tell you like, oh yeah, she's always been like that. That's my brother calls me La Bruja from the family because he says that I'm like so into this, and I just tell him like that's just part of me, like that's who I am. And I guess I started digging a little bit deeper last year after I had my mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, what is my purpose in life? I guess that's what I was thinking to myself, I was like, what is my purpose of life? Like, do I need, like, what's going on? Like, why do I feel like this, And I started digging into it, and that's when I got into the whole crystal. I've loved crystals, but I've never really got into it until just maybe last year. And that just completely changed my mind. It changed me completely from a form of how I saw my life and how I would see the outside world. Mm-hmm. And I understood that, okay, this is how I am. I kind of had to accept it. And I was like, I need to like embrace it, I guess, at some point. Then I see like my daughter. God, when I did her birth chart, I was like, Lord have mercy on me. My daughter's going to be like, she's a Scorpio moon and a Gemini rising. So it's like she's an Aries, okay? So she likes to have things in control. Mm-hmm. So if she doesn't have things in control, she will like literally just have like a fit, Mm-hmm. So then that's kind of when I started understanding like, why are people like this? Like why are certain people doing this to certain people, And like I went through a really terrible breakup, an ugly breakup, right. And I looked into his birth chart, and I was like, oh, okay, I see, you're a fucking Aquarius. It's like, Aquarius is just like, you don't know what you want, like, fucking decide, Uh-huh. So I started understanding people. When I started reading people's birth chart, I'm like, oh, so that's all, oh, yeah, like, I see it, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so I guess that's my form of understanding people and like learning how to talk to them and learning how to say certain things to them. Like I know what triggers them and I know what doesn't trigger them, Mm-hmm. My parents, I don't even know what their birth chart looks like because they don't even know what time they were born. They're born in a pueblo that probably didn't even have clocks, Uh-huh. So yeah, it just like, it kind of just fascinated me because I was like, oh, it makes sense, like now I know why I'm like that. Now I know why I'm so fucked, like
we all are at some point.
Yeah, and when I got to the whole crystal thing, I guess I did it because I was lacking a lot of self-esteem. I gained so much weight because I used to be like 130, and then I went from 130 after I had my daughter. I went to like 220. So I was like, okay, I need to like actually find something to like help me. My parents are Catholic, so my mom's into the zodiac sign too. I'm not gonna lie, like she's into it. Like, dude, every Monday we sit down and watch YouTube, and we're watching zodiac sign, like about my sign, because she wants to know what's gonna happen under my sign. She's like, nothing happens interesting in my sign. And I'm like, no, mom, I'm pretty sure it does. So she's like, so my mom's kind of like, okay, cool, but for me, like. My parents are Catholic, like I said. So I don't know. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I believe in God. I believe, in what my beliefs are. But when I started understanding about like the universe and like crystals, I was like, okay, now it makes sense. I started getting to like, I have a friend who sells crystal. if you guys are interested, check out her page. I'll send you over her page. So trust me, her work is amazing. She gave me a rose quartz once, and after that, it was like my life completely changed. I carry a lot of crystals in my bag. My brother says my little rocks. I carry my little rocks in my bag. I actually have a moldavite on me right now. It's considered one of the most powerful crystals in the universe. It's actually a meteor that crashed into the planet about I don't know how many million years ago. And when you first touch it, you actually feel like this really hot sensation on your body. Oh. You feel like you're tripping out. Yeah, because it comes from space. Like it's a star. That's what it is. So you start feeling like a little nauseous. You start feeling like headaches, and yeah, it's really trippy. Like at first, I was a little scared because I was like, well, I don't know. I don't want to open any fucking doors to any demons or shit like that. Like I'm not ready for that.
Not trying to get stranger things going on, right?
Yeah, no, because you know what? I actually, in my family, we actually do have people with certain we call them dones, where you have certain gifts. And I'm actually one of those that I do see, I'm not gonna say spirits, but I do see things here and there in my house. When my uncle had passed away, he actually came to the house to visit. I didn't know it was him until the next following day. That's when I had found out that he had passed away. When my ex-partner, when my daughter's dad used to live here with us too, I had seen a shadow, and it was his cousin. Because I had seen a picture of him. I'm like, hey, that was the guy that was in the room, So yeah, I've had, stuff like this happen in my house. I've had, I'll talk about that a little bit. And the normal shit. Yeah, we carry that. And I guess it just comes because, I'm fully indigenous. And I guess that's what my ancestors used to practice and all. I do things here and there. Like, I don't sage my house. A lot of people say, "Oh, how sage has become so popular."
Yeah, almost to the point that it's almost a cliche now.
Yeah, it's like a basic thing. And I have a friend that actually does danza, and he gets really upset because he goes, sage isn't just to fucking sell. And I'm like, I get it. Like it's actual something culture. It belongs to the natives, And I use sage just to cleanse my my crystals, but I don't use sage to clean my house anymore. Because I start seeing a lot of things happening in my house, and I'm like, yeah, I need something else because this isn't working anymore. And it's powerful. Don't get me wrong, but you just gotta learn how to use it in a sense of form, Okay. But crystals in general, we, spiritually. I think our spirit, because I do believe that we all have spirits, our souls, because put it that way, our souls. We need that little guidance sometimes, I believe in the third eye. I don't know about you. Do you know what the third eye is?
I don't know much about that. At all. I've heard the phrase, but no, I don't know much about it.
So, your third eye is kind of like your intuition. So I don't know if you've seen people that's into oh, my third eye is hurting, and they're rubbing their finger. Yeah. So it's more of a.
I thought it came from Hinduism, right?
What happened?
It came from Hinduism.
You know what? I don't know. I just hear that a lot. And I see it. Well, yes and no. It does go back to a lot of religions because a lot of religions do practice that. Like the evil eye, the little evil eye with the on the bracelets that people carry. That's it comes from a religion as well. They say it keeps away evil spirits or any bad energy. So that's definitely something that I don't really like to bring in a lot of religion with its spirituality because a lot of people don't really believe in religion. Right. So people do, So I just kind of like to say oh yeah, your third eye, just massage it. You feel like you're out of it, just massage it. Maybe it's part of your intuition trying to kick in, I know my intuition is that when I meet a guy and or I meet someone new and I get a whiff of someone rotting, that means that they're lying. They lie about. They're just they're bad. They're just liars. Period. I actually developed that when I was pregnant with my daughter. I would I'd be walking around and I would just talk to someone and I was like, what does it smell like? Do you know that? It smells like something's rotting. And that's when they had told me, like, oh yeah, that's a form of gift that, you send certain, you smell them because you can smell their bullshit from far away. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad, like, where was that when, I met my daughter's father,
Maybe you had a lot of cologne on. But really quick, to close out this part of the podcast, and we'll move on to some more of the paranormal stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see what the percentage was for people that believe in astrology as to the people that don't believe?
I didn't see it. I don't think I saw that.
It was about 60-40. So 60 yes, 40% no. Does that surprise you?
You know what? It doesn't, because I've been seeing a lot of spirituality. I see a lot of spirituality pages on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And most of the ones that did believe were more females. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. Because I think as women, I'm not gonna say as women, but as females, I feel like we find that guidance that we actually need. Mm. Because you know what, and it's true. I do see a lot of females into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, males just think that we're fucking crazy. That's what it is. Like, oh, she's doing brujeria, and I can tell you, man, because like, my kid's dad, like, he tells me, oh, what kind of brujeria are you doing on me? I'm like, boo, I don't have time and energy to waste on you, So, yeah.
So then, I want to do real quick word association then, right? And I know it's a little more complex because we went over this chart and it's definitely more complex. But as far as generalization goes, right? Let's go through each sign and you give me a word or phrase for each sign. And I don't know them, so you're gonna have to list them off for me.
Okay, so look, I'm just gonna give everyone a heads up. Like, if it's your sign, I am so sorry.
Don't apologize.
That. Because some people like get really upset when you say something about their sign. But this is how I'm seeing it, okay? I'm just gonna say how I know and I've experienced people. So go ahead.
No, you know the signs, I don't know them.
Okay. So Aries, they love to be in control. That's for a fact.
All right.
Taurus. Oh my god, I'm a Taurus. I fucking love eating. I know all you fucking Tauruses love eating too. And like being fucking stubborn. Oh, that's our number one thing. Being stubborn.
Okay.
Let's see. Geminis. Geminis are not two faces. They're just very indecisive, I think. Mm. They don't they have plan A, plan B, and then they have like C, D, E, and F. So I feel like that's them. Cancers. I feel like they're very emotional.
Okay.
Like, yeah. But I think it's just because maybe they're just the cancers I know, and they're very open and very emotional. I don't know. What's after Cancer? Leos. I'm sorry, I have to roll my eyes at Leos because they're so fucking cocky, dude. They wear their shit like their shit don't stink, you know? They're very positive about everything, and I'm just like, dude, like, this is not the time to be positive. Like, let me vent my feelings out, you know? Virgos. I don't know, I think, like, Virgos sometimes, they like to, like, not criticize, but they just have, like, something to say all the time, I guess. They could be messy, like, when, like, for example, if someone breaks up with someone and you break up with a Virgo, like, they will go crazy on you. Like, they will go break your windows.
Huh.
Or, like, slash your tires.
Interesting.
Because
we found
I know a Virgo. Yeah, I know a Virgo, and, like, he's fucking messy. Like, I think he was cheating on his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's a Virgo, too. And she fucking stabbed him in the eye, dude. Ooh. Yeah.
All right, not messing with any of those people.
I was just like, dude, that is, like, how, like, that's just a hot mess, you know? I mean, he's just something else. What's after Virgos? Libras. I like Libras. One of my good friends is a Libra, actually. They're very, like, I want fairness, you know?
Okay.
I like to have, like, I like to listen and give my part too, you know? Mm-hmm. Not just because you're here, okay?
You can say whatever you want. Oh,
me. What's after Libra? Scorpios. dude, they're horny ass motherfuckers. They will fuck anything. I'm just saying, man. Like, there's this one guy I know, and he's always talking about sex. I'm like, fool, that's not just what life is all about. Talk about food. I'm there, you know? What's after Scorpio? Sagittarius. You know what? They're actually really nice people. They're very humble. They can be really mean. They seem like they're mean, but they're not. They're really nice. Yeah, I actually have a lot of interaction with a lot of Sagittariuses. I mean, but the male Sagittarius, they can kind of get annoying sometimes. I don't know. It's like, what are you even saying? Like, shut up. Let's see. What's after Sag? Capricorns. You know, I'm not really big fans of Capricorns. I feel like they got a lot of issues sometimes. I think it's like, stop throwing your issues at people. It's your issue. Like, figure it out on your own, boo, you know? This is my favorite sign of all times. Aquarius. The Aquas. God, you know, I don't know. Aquas just, I don't want to talk bad about Aquas. Because I know my kid's dad's probably going to listen to this podcast.
Oh, man.
But, man, they're so undecisive. They don't know what the fuck they want, dude. Like, fucking figure out who you want to be. You want to be with this person or you want to be with this other person? Like, figure it out, you know? And then Pisces. The babies of the Zodiac sign. I don't know. Pisces are, like, I feel like they have, like, a hoarding issue. Like, they like to have a collection of something. Because I know a couple of Pisces, actually. My brother's a Pisces, so he likes to collect shoes. That's his issue. Shoes. I know another guy who is a Pisces, and he likes to collect, like, the little action figures.
Yeah. What's the birthday range for that one?
They're from, like, I believe January. No, I'm sorry, not January. February. I want to say 20th to March 20th. I think. Just for reference, and like, you want to go look to see who's just for reference to see who are some of the collectors out there. Yeah. If you guys are collectors, like, and you're Pisces, like, tell me, like, what is your collection? What do you like to hoard? Because, yeah, I'm just like, y'all need some therapy. Like, you guys need to learn how to let go of certain stuff. Well, that's it. Yeah. Well, we'll see if it pissed any people off. I'm sure they'll be listening and to see what the feedback is on that. But Scorpios, you know, according to people, they say Scorpios are Taurus's soulmates. So if y'all out there and trying to look for a Taurus, I'm here. Especially because there's special traits there, right? Judging by the last podcast episode, we know what you're looking for. And Cancers. If you're a Cancer and, you know, you're, according to them, they say that we're Tauruses, Cancers and Tauruses are soulmates too. So you're a Cancer to Scorpio and, you know, I'm single. There you go. And as of the episode number 18, we learned you don't care if they're ugly dudes that are short. Oh my God. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Okay. Let's shift gears a little. Yes. Change it up. Now, you mentioned a little bit of like, you know, paranormal stuff or spooky stuff. You know, it's Halloween time, right? I have as much time as you would like, but you can cut it off as early as you'd like, right? What are a couple of things you wanted to mention? Because I'll go off my experience right now. I've never, I don't believe, ever had like any sort of paranormal experience, or, you know, I've never seen like a ghost or anything like that, you know. And I grew up in a household where my mom would say oftentimes like, oh yeah, I see ghosts, I see spirits and stuff like that. And I always kind of like wanted to believe it, you know, because she felt so strongly about it, but I'm just like, I don't see that as a possibility, right? Now, you mentioned that you may be gifted with something like that. So what is your experience like knowing that you have that, you know, ability? So as a kid, I always get sick when I'm around certain people that aren't good for me. And I can say that because when I was growing up, there was this one guy that my dad used to, well, he's a family friend actually. But at first, like, he had a very heavy, like, energy, and I would end up getting sick. So my mom would have to rub an egg on me. You know, the traditional Mexican, I mean, I don't know where your parents are from, but my mom's from Mexico. So she would have to rub an egg on me with rula, and, you know, it's either I will feel better or I will feel the same. So I do pick up a lot of energy from people. And that's where I say, like, you know, people who have a lot of, not baggage, but a lot of, like, problems, like they're always stressing about stuff. You create that energy above you, you know. So for myself, ever since a kid, I always felt people's energy, and usually end up getting sick from the stomach, or I get an in-body fever, or I get a fever, or I get like I get really tired, and I really don't want to feel like doing anything. So that's when I actually went to a coronera beginning of the year. I actually went on a spiritual journey, and it changed my life a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna say a little bit. It changed my life completely. I started to understand, because I was always questioning why. And when I found this girl, I actually went with her, and she answered my why. And she told me, she's like, you do have a gift. You just have to learn how to use it, because you do have what your ancestors used to have, you know. And I'm not gonna say, people think like I'm crazy, because I'm like, yeah, I see things once in a while in my house. Because where I live now, this lady used to live here for 40 years, and then she passed away right after my daughter was born. So everyone was like, that's kind of weird, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of see it, you know. So when I moved in, I started seeing my plates would move, my forks would move, and I would be like, am I fucking crazy, or like, what's this shit going on? So when I went with this coronera, like 2 years later, I was like, well, I gotta figure out what the hell's going on in my life, because like I'm getting all this weird shit happening at home. I just need to figure it out. And that's when she told me, she's like, yeah, you know, you do have it. It's just that you probably don't want to use it because you're so scared. And I'm like, yeah, I could see why. I'm just like, fuck, I'm not ready to see something weird in my room. Like, fuck that, you know? Yeah. Yeah, but ever since I was a kid, you know, I felt people there. And to this day, I still do. Oh my God, like, when I have to deal with someone that I don't like to deal with, like, oh, dude, Fabian, I get so sick in the stomach. Like, I end up like, oh, I just can't even eat. I'm like, oh, why I feel like this? So I told mom, like, hey, rub an egg on me, you know? And she's like, okay. And yeah, later, like 20 minutes later, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, well, fuck me then. Like, I don't want to be around the person anymore, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Have you ever, like, felt like someone's energy just being heavy on you at some point?
You know, I don't think so. And maybe I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm dead to that, but, or maybe I'm just not in touch with it or whatever, but I've not experienced that or felt that ever before. I guess what I wanted to ask you was, when did you first kind of like notice or see something that without, you know, any other explanation has to be, you know, paranormal or out of this world, or, you know, something that you can't explain?
So my mom used to work at a school by USC area, and I was pretty much raised there, and I would always hear a little girl running around, and I'm like, the fuck is running around? So I would get scared. I was like, oh, like, I would feel cold, and I'm like, oh, fuck that, I'm leaving from here, you know? Yeah. So I would go to my mom, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I feel like there's someone outside. She's like, there's no one outside. I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, oh. You know, I would start crying. I'm like, no, Mom, I don't want to go outside anymore, you know? But then that's when I realized, like, maybe I'm just going fucking crazy. As a kid, like, I was 7 years old, you know, like, trying to, like, fucking barely just living my life. And that's when I started realizing, like, maybe I just, like, and I would tell my mom, I hear a little girl laughing, like, I hear her laughing, like, by me, like, she's, like, I hear her footsteps and running and laughing, like, if she wants me to play with her. Mom's like, oh, fuck. So I guess my mom probably thought, like, fucking demon is in me or some shit, I don't know. And that was the first time I actually, like, felt something. So when time went by, I wouldn't see things at home because I was living with obviously I was living with my parents. But I started seeing that once I started, like, getting into all these, I started kind of finding, like, what I wanted to do. I started seeing all these things that I'm like, oh, now it's like, I feel like maybe as a kid, I knew what I wanted, but I just didn't know because I felt like I needed to follow what my parents were telling me to do, kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I was like 7, 8 when that place was just fucking haunted. I mean, like, there was like, there would be a nun, like, just standing there with a black veil over her face. And she would just be, like, standing there just looking at you. And yeah, dude, it was like, that school was just, I don't know. I'm like, y'all need to fucking bring a priest in here and throw some hot, holy water or something.
Right.
Yeah, so, like, I guess me being, I'm not going to say being exposed, but I guess, I kind of just, like, was around that stuff. And that's why I don't step into cemeteries either. I once stepped at the Evergreen Cemetery. You ever been to that cemetery?
No, I've not. No.
Yeah, don't go there. It's very, you feel something heavy in it. Because there's so many, like, people from so many years ago, and they probably just can't find the light. I went in there for a project that I was doing for school, and I came out, and I couldn't see for 3 nights.
Wow.
Because I was dreaming weird shit all the time. So then I told my mom, like, hey, I keep dreaming this. And she goes, where did you go? And I'm like, I went to the cemetery for school,
Yeah. So, you know what? And then now thinking about it, and I don't know, I'll get your perspective on this, but it might be some sort of, paranormal activity. I don't necessarily think it is because have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Okay.
Because I used to get that a lot as a kid. It was like sleep paralysis, and just experiencing it made me think, like, maybe when people feel like they have an experience or like they're being abducted by aliens or something like that, it's because they're in sleep paralysis. Because I used to get it a lot where you feel like you're fully awake, but your body won't move. You can't talk. You can't scream. The old medieval thought was that there's a demon sitting on your chest, right? And that was something that I experienced a lot as a kid. But when I got older, I thought, like, this is just your body's not awake, but your mind is. And I remember one time I was like middle school or high school or something. And, we were a lot of, our family was, like 4 kids and 1 parent. And we only had, 2 rooms. So I would sleep in the living room. And it wasn't necessarily the best neighborhood. So this will make sense right now. I remember one night I was sleeping and I'm like, I'm experiencing sleep paralysis, right? And I feel like something on my chest. I hear all these sounds and there's like a big old light. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, I knew it was a sleep paralysis, right? But I'm like, am I being abducted or something? Right? And then, when I finally snapped out of it, I realized that the thing on my chest was just a damn cat. The noises were the ghetto bird flying overhead, and the light was the spotlight from the helicopter, But had I not known all that stuff, maybe I would have thought I was experiencing something, supernatural or alien or something like that. And so I wonder if a lot of these things, I'm not saying in your case, but I'm saying with a lot of people, I'm wondering if a lot of these things are, misinterpretations of something like sleep paralysis, because a lot of the time when you hear people experience like a ghost or seeing a figure or alien abduction, it's in their sleep, right? And, but you're telling me, no, this is when you're conscious, when you're awake.
Yeah. You know what? Talking about that, I used to sleepwalk a lot as a kid. I used to sleepwalk a lot, and I would dream, like I would dream about so many things, but as older as I was getting, I started realizing, like, am I really, like you said, like your sleep paralysis. I would dream certain things, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I would wake up in a tub, and I'm like, the fuck did I end up in a tub, And then that's when I realized, like, oh, I'm actually sleepwalking. But I would have dreams of, like, people I didn't know, and I will meet them a week or two later, So, like, what you were saying, like, sometimes it, I mean, I'm not trying to, scare you or anything, but I've heard that when you're dreaming of someone, that has passed on to the other life, that means because they're actually looking at you from face to face when you're sleeping. But, I've heard so much that people will say that, like, they have sleep paralysis, and I'm like, I didn't ever experience that, I mean, thankfully, because I sounds fucking horrible, dude. I mean, I don't know what the hell would happen to me if I ever had that. But, a lot of people that do actually go through that, they do say that sometimes they feel like when they go into spirituality, it starts going away. Because they feel like it's probably like a way of sense of, like, their spirit kind of looking for that guidance. But I don't know. I mean, maybe, I'm not saying give it a try, but maybe, like, look into it, because it could also mean a lot of things that triggers in your life. A lot of the things that we do go through, it's because of experiences or sadness or loss or, things that we wish we can change. And it takes a heavy toll on us. And that's when we're sleeping. Sometimes our subconscious mind comes in and, makes us dream all this weird shit sometimes. I dream a lot. I don't know. Do you dream usually?
Every now and then. I want to say probably a little less than half the time.
Oh no, I dream a lot, and I actually have a dream journal. So I remember dreams from, like, I was a kid. I didn't dream last night because I was just probably tired, But I do dream a lot, and I dream a lot about people. I actually, listen to this, okay? Tell me if this is weird or not, right? So I actually had a dream with someone that I know, and he probably knows who he is because he was probably going to listen to the podcast. I had a dream about him, and we were in this place, It was a really fucked up dream, okay? I'm just going to put it that way. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want people to listen to me and think, like, this bitch is fucking weird. So I actually had texted him, like, hey, I had a dream about you. He goes, yeah, I know. I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I had a dream about you too. And I was like, I want to listen to it, And that night, we were on the phone, and I said, hey, this is what I was dreaming about you. And he goes, wait a minute. He was describing the same dream about the same lady, the things that was going on between him and I and this lady. And it was the same word, the same clothes that she was wearing, that I had visioned her and he had seen her. And we were tripping out. We were like, what the fuck? So we had the same dream, but we were in different places. So I was in my house and he was in his house. But we were in the same dream. So I was telling people, like, what does that mean, And they're like, oh, that means you guys are soulmates. I'm like, fuck that. We ain't soulmates. Like,
damn.
I could be assured you we're not soulmates, But yeah, like, if you dream a lot, it could also mean something, in a sense. Because I, like I said, I do dream a lot. I dream a lot, where I kind of put the pieces together. I write them down, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, so this is what my dreams are mean, But then again, I dream with crystals, and I shouldn't be doing that anymore because I used to have some weird ass fucking dreams, and I'm like, oh, what the hell was I? What the fuck was I dreaming about? But yeah, that's just like I mean, I suffer from sleepwalking, but I don't think I do it anymore because I wake up in my bed unless I go sit down, pretend I'm cooking, and then go back to bed and then maybe. But I don't think I sleepwalk anymore. But yeah, it's very It's very interesting,
Yeah.
What should we do?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the only bit of potential paranormal activity that I've experienced. Do you have any examples of like maybe the most intense or crazy experience that you've ever had, as far as like, seeing a ghost or a spirit or anything like that?
Yes, actually. So when I had moved to my apartment, like I've mentioned, there was this lady that lived here for 40 years. Mm-hmm. She passed away. She didn't die in the house. She died at the hospital, but she did fall in the house, in the bathroom, and she fell on the heater. So her whole arm was like melted off by the heater. Wow. That she had in the restroom. So they found her on the floor, which was super. I was like, whoa, this lady had gone through so much shit in this house, but whatever. So this is actually the first story. Okay. So, I started sensing something in the house. Mm-hmm. My daughter would cry at a certain time, and I'm like, why is she crying? Like, she already got fed. She's changed. She's good. Mm. Finally, I think around maybe when she was 6-7 months, I started seeing like a certain smell was going on in the house, and I was like, that sounds weird, it smells weird, and just, I don't know, it was weird to me. So at that time, I wasn't working, so I was always home, and I was like, but I'm always cleaning. I don't know why, all of this weird stuff is happening. Mm-hmm. So a year later passed by. So my daughter was already close to 2, and I had someone that I bumped into, which she's a medium. Mm. And, my daughter, she was always crying at a certain time. I will always get off, like, my house was always cold. Like, it was in a hot summer, and my house was super fucking cold. Mm-hmm. So that medium had told me, she goes, hey, there's something hovering over your daughter. I got scared. I was like, what the fuck? Like, who is this bitch? What bitch is doing something on me? Like, what the hell, Uh-huh. So then that's when she told me, she goes, you know what? There's something hovering over your daughter because there's a lot of energy in your home. And she's like, it seems like there's a lady that she keeps going to your house because she doesn't know that she's dead. Mm. I said, oh, I know her name. And I mentioned her name. And I told her, like, and she's like, yeah, you gotta talk to her. And I was like, but I'm talking to you. And she's like, no, like, just say your name and just tell her, like, hey, you don't live here, you died, then you gotta go, Yeah. Yeah, we will see, like, certain, not shadows, but we will see, like, there were certain spots in the house that will feel, like, really cold and, like, nasty. Mm-hmm. And, I even I had birds, and my birds will always die. They will always die. Like, I would always buy 2 birds, and, like, one of them would just die, and there was just 1 bird. And then I would buy another bird, and that same bird the same bird that was always there, she was always alive. Uh-huh. She was, like, a survivor. And my little bird, the baby bird that we would just get, they would constantly die. And I was like, what the hell? Like, who is doing something on me? Like, y'all need to fucking leave me alone, Uh-huh. And then that's when she told me, she goes, there's a lot of energy in your house, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So finally, little by little, she told me what to do. We got rid of the lady. But she was coming back because she had some treasure in the closet buried. Because she was, this lady, she was a hoarder of things. So she used to have these, like, golden coins, and they were valued, like, maybe $1,000 each coin. Wow. So she probably had about, like, maybe 25 coins in her closet. So I guess she died. She wanted to come back for her stuff, but she didn't really understand the process that she was no longer, in the physical world. Mm-hmm. So that was the first one. That was the first encounter. Now the second encounter, I myself was fucking scared the shit out of my life because, there was a time where I was having problems with someone at my house, and blue nasty flies would appear in my house. You ever seen those? Maybe you have. You've seen those, like, those fruit flies, the nasty one with the red eyes. Pop up. It has, like, little worms in it.
No.
Okay, so I used to get these nasty, shiny blue flies. They're black and shiny. And they would be, like, 45 flies on a certain corner of my house. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm so anal about shit in my house, and there's flies in my house. Like, what the hell's going on, you know?
Uh-huh.
And there was no food, there was nothing out. So I will vacuum them up. Fabian, I will not lie to you. I would throw the dirt of, like, the whatever I vacuum in the trash can, and no fucking flies will appear. Huh. Nothing. So I was just like, oh my God, like, what is it? So, and then I started kind of panicking. I told my mom, I'm like, hey, so, like, there's flies in my house, and I don't know why. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. So 2 days later, again, my window will be open, but there was a screen. There were about, like, 50 flies on the window.
Wow.
And you would kill them. You would kill them, like, you would swat them. And then you'll go, like, I would go get the dustpan or get a napkin and pick them up. They weren't there anymore. Yeah. So I was kind of, like, getting scared. I was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck this means. Yeah. So the person that I used to live with, I'd be like, hey, dude, like, whoever you're fucking with, tell that bitch to stop doing brujeria on you, because this is not the place, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's when we found out that it was because there was a lot of energy in our house. There was a problem that was lingering over us, and there was someone that was throwing things at that person, and because he would come to my house, it would linger, it would bring that spirit. So those flies was like a sign of something, you know? And they were just flies, but I was scared because I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are there so much flies, you know? And I would, like, look it up on Google, and I'm like, why do I have blue flies, you know, in my house? And a lot of people were saying, like, oh, it's something about, it's something evil. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? So what I do now is, like, when this person comes to my house, I tend to, like, open all my windows and burn rosemary, because they carry a lot of energy with them. So because they carry a lot of energy with them, they tend to leave that energy here at the house. And I realized that because my house is very peaceful. I always cleanse my house in a way, because I have my daughter.
Right.
You know, and my daughter, there's times that my daughter sees shit. Like, she tells me, Mom, there's something in the bed. I'm like, oh no, girl, you better not fucking come and tell me shit like that, because you know your mom will come out with the freaking sage and, you know, everything else. So I've had experiences like that. Another experience I had was that when my uncle passed away, I didn't know who it was. I was standing in my bedroom door, and it wasn't like a black shadow, but it was like a form of energy that was standing there, and I saw the outline, and I saw them turn, and they walked away. So when I was like, okay, that's fucking weird, I started feeling anxious and like nervous. The next following day, that's when I found out that my uncle had passed away, and I had finally put the pieces together. I was like, oh, so that was him. Another one, oh, no, this is a really scary story. Okay? Get ready for this one, Fabian, because you're going to get fucking scared.
I'm getting ready.
So, do you remember that hospital that was off of 4th Street in St. Louis? That now it's like, it's a housing place?
You know, I'm not too familiar with the area, to be honest with you.
Okay, so there is that famous hospital right across the street from that little lake park, Hollyben Park.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a hospital. They filmed like Freddy Krueger there. They filmed a lot of movies in that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, exactly the location.
Okay, yeah. So I was at the time I was dating this guy. His friend. So we would always hang out with his friend. His friend would always bring his cousin around, and that cousin had like this weird guy, and I even told him, like, hey, that guy's kind of weird, like, why do you guys hang out with him? Like, he's always talking about some weird shit. Like, he would talk about like the devil, and I was just like, oh, okay. And like, I was like, yeah, I'm getting scared, like, I don't want to I don't know what this guy's intentions are. So we had all agreed that we were going to go together to visit, to check out the hospital, because myself over here, I'm like, yeah, fucking, I'm down, like. Oh,
so you were trying, you were trying to get scared.
Yeah. No, but I was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's go. So we have gone. It was like middle of the night. It was probably like 9 p.m. We have gone, and my friend's our friend, his cousin was there already with his other friend. And I was like, well, we'll meet up with you guys because we actually had gone to Union, so we were heading over there. And we got there, and at first I was like, yeah, I'm down. But then when I was walking around and I was about to like jump over the fence, I was like, somebody just told me like, nah, bitch, you better not fucking go in there, you know? And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna chicken out, so I think I'm just gonna stay in my car and just like probably have a beer or something, you know? Mm-hmm. So my boyfriend at the time, he was like, okay, well, I'll just stay with you, you know, I don't want you to be alone in the car. And I was like, okay, fine. So our friend and his cousin, they went inside with his other friend, and I was just tripping out because it was already over 2 hours and they weren't coming out, and I was like, what the hell? Like, did they die in there? Did something happen? Did they fall? Well, I guess they had, you know, when it came out, our friend, his cousin, his friend was like, he was just like acting weird and like was all paranoid and shit. Mm-hmm. So this motherfucker had like a scratch on his chest, and we were like, what the hell happened to you? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like a fucking cat scratched me or something. I'm like, no fucking cat's gonna scratch you like that. Like, oh, that shit looks like it ain't from this world. Let me tell you that right now, you know? Uh-huh. And he's like, no. It was a cat. So I had told his friend, our friend's cousin, I was like, hey, your friend doesn't look very well. Like, he looks like something's wrong with him. He goes, you know what? He's like, I caught him on the floor. Like, he was just staying on the floor like nothing. And I was like, whoa. All right, well, you know what? I'm going to go get my rosary. I'll be back, you know, because I don't know what the hell you guys are doing. Mm-hmm. So, that's when I guess he was like, I'm gonna go use the restroom, like around the corner. I'll be back. So our friend was telling us like, hey, you know, we found him on the floor and he was just like chilling on the floor like nothing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, really? And I was like, did you see that scratch mark though? And they're like, yeah. He's like, doesn't it look weird? I'm like, yeah, that's not a cat scratch. Mm-hmm. That shit looks like it's something that it's not from this world, you know? Mm-hmm. And they're like, nah, you're just tripping. I'm like, nah, fool, I ain't tripping, trust me. Like, I fucking watch too much TV, you know, like, I know what's up, you know? Yeah. So one of the guys was telling us, like, yeah, he was in there, but then out of a sudden he starts, like, screaming, and he was just on his own on the 8th floor, and, like, he was just there, and he was, like, on chill, and then he just came down, but now he's acting weird, and I was like, yeah, he's acting really weird. So maybe a week later, this fool gets hit by a car. Whoa. Okay. And he doesn't even die. He's fine. Nothing scratched. He's all good. Mm. And I was just like, what? So I started telling this guy that was like really close friends with me. I said, you know what, you need to cut him off because something's really strange with this guy. Like, he started, like, once you guys left that place, like, he started acting weird, and I don't know, it was just strange, you know? Mm-hmm. So I guess in that process, that person had changed their number. Mm-hmm. And this guy will find his number and he will text him, hey, why do you keep changing your number on me? Mm. And we were like, what? So then one day, I guess this was the last final straw. So he had cut himself and he didn't realize that he was like bleeding from his arm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were all chilling there, and I was like, hey, you know, you're bleeding from your arm, right? And he goes, no, I'm not. And I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right, I guess not, you know, I guess I'm fucking crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. And I guess, in between there was some girl that we used to, like, hang out with and shit, mm-hmm. and she would tell me, she's like, hey, isn't he, like, he's being weird. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, and we told her the story. Hey, you know what? He's been weird ever since we went to the hospital. And like, he jumped in there. He was by himself for a while on the 8th. I don't know what floor it was, 4th, 5th, or something like that. And he came out. He had a scratch on his chest, and like, it was just weird, you know. Mm-hmm. And I guess this guy started cutting him off even more. And he would show up to his house, and he would tell him like, I'm the devil. This and that. And I was like, yeah, I think something's wrong with this guy, you know? Then I find out that he got shot. Fucking don't know how. He got shot. Yeah. They had like the weird, strange things started happening to him. And I was like, yeah, that's not like, I don't think that's normal. Then I guess in between her, his mom kind of figured like something was wrong with her son. And they were like, oh yeah, he just had some spirit over him. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's why I don't fuck around with haunted places anymore. Because after that, I learned my lesson. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not trying to bring anything home. You know, and I actually, and that's another reason why, like, when my aunt got buried at, the cemetery, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't go to cemeteries. It's just not my thing. I can't do it, as much as I love my family, I just can't do that because I end up coming home and it's like, I'm bringing something else that's not okay,
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've experienced so many things that I'm just like, nah, I don't fuck with stuff like that. Like the Ouija board. I don't fuck with the Ouija board.
Really?
Fuck no. Dude, that's like opening a portal to hell. Like, you're gonna fucking release something that's not supposed to be on this planet.
It's like made by like Milton and Bradley, right? Like for but it's like made by a toy company.
Yeah, dude, but that toy company is like associated with some weird shit too, Like, I actually have a story about that. Because my mom used to work with nuns. So these nuns, like, they would see shit all the time. And they would tell us, like, oh, and actually we knew someone that, I didn't know her, but, she was, like, related to someone that we actually knew. So there were, like, 4 kids. They were playing with the Ouija board, and obviously they did something that they weren't supposed to do, and it literally burned the house down.
Well, dang.
Yeah, like, that, and I tell people, like, that's the number one shit I don't fuck with. Like, I tell people, like, I don't fuck with that shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, I may be into all this stuff, but you got the wrong person to be saying, like, oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I don't know. No. Yeah, I'm telling you, like, people think it's a fun game, but it's like, you don't know who you're messing with. You don't know who you're talking to. They come in and they can say that third person, that they could be that person. And it's the same thing as tarot cards,
The tarot cards?
No. Yeah. You're actually being guided by your spirits, and you gotta know who your spirit guides are. You gotta know who your ancestors are, because some other spirit can come in and it's probably not even a good spirit and it can like totally give you a different meaning of a reading, So it's like, if you actually research into all of this stuff, it's a lot of this stuff. It's like, you shouldn't be messing with it unless you know how to do it, But then again, I'm not saying go fuck around with the Ouija board because that's not what I'm trying to say. It's just like be aware that there are consequences to this stuff. I have friends that tell me like, oh yeah, that's not what I want to miss. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't even recommend it. Like if you're into that stuff, I mean, if you've done it and you're cool, I mean, kudos to you, man. I guess God is on your side,
Yeah, and this is interesting stuff. That's why I just kind of like I'm like. Right now, I'm just kind of taking a seat back and listening to the stories. And I think, a lot of the times, even if, like, for someone like me who's not really experienced something like that, it's still very much intriguing, because I think we as people, we always want to know that there's, like, some sort of beyond, right? And to hear your stories, I was really kind of, like, invested. I was, like, listening, like, without interruption, because I'm just, like, I want to hear how it turned out, but yeah, I mean, we're almost at the 2-hour mark here, and I think we'll kind of start closing out at that point. But I definitely, if you have any other stories like that or similar, would invite you to come back on and tell some more stories because I am intrigued by all of that. I'm not an expert by any means, and never, like I said, I've never had any sort of experience in that realm. But I don't know. I mean, I like to know as much as I can about it without actually, I'm not going to go play with Ouija boards and stuff. But it's I don't want to say entertaining because that takes away from any sort of value it might have. But it's intriguing,
Yeah.
But for an episode where I had no notes, I think we went plenty long on that one, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's just, talking about it, sometimes you just gotta chill and just, like, let it go with the flow,
Yeah, for sure. Now,
my mom,
The what?
I'm like, that's just my mindset at this point. You know?
Definitely. Now, one of the last things I'll do is I end every episode. You know, we're going to talk about the next episode, and the next one's a little lighthearted, but it's going to be fun. My friend who's been on the podcast before, George and I, we're gonna try to figure out. We grew up in the city of Almani. We're gonna try to figure out who has the best pizza in Almani, right? There's this. The city of Almani is like they're diamond in the rough when it comes to pizzas. This place called well, now it's called The Post. It used to be called Lamp Post. And but there have been some competitors that have popped up, Baby Bros Pizza and then Rio's Pizza that have popped up that have kind of been contenders. What's the absolute best pizza you've ever had?
You're gonna laugh at this. I don't really eat pizza.
Ooh.
And I have health issues. Well, I'm not gonna say health issues, but I have some. I don't really eat dairy. Lactose intolerance, and then I can't eat meat because of my gallbladder.
Oh, that's right. You'd mentioned that before.
Yeah, I have gallbladder issues. I don't want to get rid of it because everyone tells me, just get surgery. And I'm like, no, like, that's a part of me, man. Like, I just can't get rid of it. But before, actually, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I actually did have pizza before, and I mean, I got sick, but who cares, right? I'll fucking do it for food. I had Rance pizza. It's a Chicago-style dip dish.
Yeah.
I think that one, there's one in Long Beach. There used to be one in USC area. I don't really go out in Monty. I'm sorry, I'm not a Monty.
That's cool.
I don't go. I mean, I drive to Paris. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm out there like, every other weekend, but I just don't really. I like the deep dish one.
What was the name of the place?
Rance, I believe. I'll leave the link on the bottom. I'll look it up and leave it down there. So. There's one in Long Beach. They're really, really good. Oh my god, that was the first time I had like a really good pizza. I did have some during my pregnancy, but I guess that was my excuse. I was like, oh, I'm pregnant, I can eat whatever the fuck I want, you know. But yeah, I think that's probably the only good pizza I've ever had. I like pineapple on my pizza. I know.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think that whole stupid internet thing where it's like, pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. I'm like, oh, God. It's the same people who have a problem with, you should hang your toilet paper this way as opposed to this way. It's like,
I put my toilet paper sticking out, not inward.
I just don't care because I have a bidet.
No, but I like pineapple on my pizza. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I go to Blaze Pizza and I get the vegan cheese one. That's when I'll eat some, like, I'm really craving a slice of pizza, and, like, I'll fucking eat that shit within, like, 20 minutes. Devour it, because, I love food, man. I'm a tourist. I'm a tourist for food, But definitely, I mean, I've been wanting to try this one place, but it's in Rosemead. I think they closed down, though.
Rose City?
Yes.
No, they're not closed. Yeah, I was a day one customer for that place.
Okay, so I've heard so much about, like, I think it's their carne asada?
They have a birria pizza? That's probably the one.
Dude. Is it good?
Okay, here's how I put it. The birria doesn't belong on a pizza, but the ingredients are good. I mean, it's good if... I would try it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it comes with the consommé and everything, so it's good for dipping.
So good. I have not had breakfast yet, and I'm just, like... thinking to myself, like, damn. I mean, I don't even eat meat anyways. I know there's this place in Oxnard that they sell, like, Oaxacan style birria. Like, it's like a quesadilla with layuda, because my parents are from Oaxaca. So, it's like, they have birria, queso, and, like, it looks just like a pizza. It's like a huge-ass pizza, because that's what a layuda is. It's a tortilla a size of a pizza. That's what it is. So... having that, and I was like, oh man, like, if only if I could, I would fucking be out in Oxnard. I don't care about the fucking drive. Like, I'll fucking drive for food out that far,
Yeah.
I've driven to San Diego for, like, some beer before, and I'm like, I'm fucking down,
Yeah.
But, it's, like I said, I've always wanted to go to roast. I know there's another place. I think there's one in Monty that they sell, like, Al Pastor?
No, that's also Rose City Pizza.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's I remember a while back they had told me that they're like, oh yeah, they sell off the store, and I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Have you tried it?
I have not tried that one, but I've tried a lot of their pizza. And it's pretty good. I know the owner of the place. You know, he's very big on doing like New York style to the point where he gets the water shipped from New York to his shop. So yeah, their pastrami pizza is really good. I think that was like the first crazy combination they made there, but it's really good. I'm a fan of most pizzas, so you know you're not gonna get a complaint from me.
You know what? I like food. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a girl. Take me to a buffet. You know, Golden Corral is my number one place to go eat at a buffet. Damn. Like, you fucking tell me if you really love me, you're gonna fucking take me to a buffet and tell me that you're gonna love me there too. You know.
That's where your future husband will propose, at the Golden Corral.
I mean, the beach will be nice, but if you want to take me to a buffet and like put a little ring on that, you know, apple pie a la mode style, then I'm okay with that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever bring me on a food segment, because I would tell you right now, I would fucking talk about all types of food. Like, my favorite kind of food is like Korean barbecue.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I will be there for fucking hours just eating and shit. Like, I will be cooking, like, don't worry, just chill. You eat and I'll fucking cook. Don't even mind me, you know?
That might be another topic for another day. But thank you again. I think, you know, I like I said, I had a lot of fun with this one. Topics I know nothing about, which is perfect because that's the whole point of this podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm not a professional either, so please do not come at me and bash me on my Instagram or my Facebook and talk shit about, why'd you say this about my zodiac sign? I'm so sorry. That's just what I experienced. Okay. All right, Fabian, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody listening at home, appreciate it. Thank you. Fuck you and good night. Subscribe to the Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength Podcast, and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.